right peg leg to act as a pivot point. His body twisted like an opening door. Percival's fist merely pushed Belgrieve out of the way before being thrown into the empty air behind him. As soon as Belgrieve's left foot touched down, he braced his legs and raised a fist to strike from above. However, the moment Percival realized his blow had been parried, he immediately shifted his stance, grabbing Belgrieve's arm before he could punch. "I see. That's something you could never do with a real ankle. Not bad." "It's pointless if you grab me, though." Percival grinned before pulling Belgrieve's arm towards him. As Belgrieve's stance crumbled, Percival gave his hip a light push, which sent him tumbling backwards. "And you're not as stable as you should be. Work on that." "Good grief. Whatever it is, I don't think I'll ever beat you." "Of course you won't. But I'm going to get rid of your handicap once and for all by beating out every one of your weaknesses. That's how I'm going to take responsibility," Percival said with a chuckle. Belgrieve sat up, a wry smile on his face as he scratched his head. "Be gentle with me. You never learned how to hold back." "What are you on about? You're not going to learn anything through half measures. I suspect it was even harsher to train under the paladin," said Percival as he put his coat back on. Belgrieve shrugged. "I didn't spar with Graham much. He taught me how to meditate and circulate mana. That got me to work some of the inefficiencies out of my movements." "Oh, I see. Even more reason to work on your technique. We can't just cover up your defects. We need to turn them into strengths. If I might say so, you've still got a fair bit of waste." "I don't expect myself to compare to an S-rank adventurer." "You're going to disappoint little Angie like that, Mr. Red Ogre." "Ugh." Belgrieve irritably twisted his beard. Percival gave a jolly laugh, draping his cape over his shoulders. "Let's get going." Belgrieve nodded and stood. Though it seemed Percival had regained some of his long-lost cheer, he could be reckless and unexpectedly coarse at times, still seeming rather disjointed. After such a long slump, perhaps it would have been strange for him to recover so easily. Percival himself was painfully aware of this, so he tried to be jovial to an excessive degree as he searched for some equilibrium within himself. At least, that was how it seemed to Belgrieve. It was possible that Percival was just awkward. The mass fiend outbreak of the big wave still raged on. There wasn't a day spent without combat. However, it seemed the peak was already behind them, and the frequency of S-rank fiends like the Bahamut and Fallen Faunus was on the decline. Now, more adventurers would descend to the depths of the hole in search of better materials. However, even with more adventurers challenging the depths, the stone building was still lively. Those that had come at the start had yet to withdraw, and they were now joined by others who had missed peak season due to bad timing. On top of that, more merchants were beginning to show up for their materials. It seemed the number of residents was steadily on the rise. There used to be some room between partitioned living spaces, but now one camp was pressed up right against another, and it wasn't rare to sleep just a thin cloth away from a complete stranger. Pushing aside a partition to enter the campsite, Belgrieve found Ishmael staring closely at what looked to be a small fragment of stone. He was gazing at it through a magnifying tube so small it would have fit in the palm of the magician's hand. Noticing the two of them, Ishmael looked up. "Welcome back." "What's that?" Percival asked, squinting as he took a seat. "Dragon Spa. As expected of the Earth Navel, the quality is excellent. Do you want to look?" Percival shrugged and made no move to do so, but Belgrieve took the stone and looked through the magnifying tube. Inside the transparent, crystalline material, he could see a number of small granules which glistened like mica. "Is this different from a magic crystal?" "Yes. I called it spar, but it's not a naturally occurring stone. You can only find it in dragon dens. The bodily fluids of a dragon crystallize as they react with mana." Interesting. What is it used for?" "It can be made into a lens. Once properly refined, the light that passes through gains magical properties. There was an experiment I wanted to conduct using that." Belgrieve didn't understand the specifics, but it seemed the dragon spar would be used to make a tool of sorts. "Magicians are amazing," he thought as he returned the stone to Ishmael before going to start a pot of floral tea over the fire. He honed his ears to the sounds of distant battle. Another fiend must have risen from the depths. Angeline and the others had gone out. They still had the request from him.